Hello, welcome to Devlog number 6 of this nameless project of mine. I want to give some updates on the progress I've made, mainly on the area of communicating damage or clashing between enemies. So I'm gonna let these guys attack me and defend against it. So there, you see that when they attack and I'm defending, both sides play this little animation signifying that you defended against the attack. Um, so, so why is this important? This is important because it's the foundation for communicating everything in combat. This is how I'm going to communicate damage and defense. Defense. So how does this work? The main ingredient here is right here, the Clash Resolver. It's another Unreal subsystem. I have a subsystem that I use for the combat director for handling tokens, and I have another subsystem that I use for clashes between enemies. So I'll quickly just show how that works. You have enemies chasing the player, and they request an attack token from the combat director, and if they get one, then they'll go and perform the attack, which you can see right here. And here is the AI melee attack task that gets performed. And so what happens here? The AI will go and pull from its animator component based on the attack tag. It'll pull out the animation for the attack and it'll play it. And then it'll sign up for an event called Clash Outcome from the combat component. And so what's that? Let's go take a look. When the attack animation gets played, you'll see here's the attack animation. It also contains what happens when the enemy gets defended, when the attack gets defended. But here's the important thing. This apply attack, this animation notify calls an interface function on the character. And if we go to the character, here it is, on apply attack, the character, based on the tag of the attack, the character will pull out of the combat component the data for that specific animation. The data for that attack, which each character has its own attack profile. And here we can see that the grunt character just has this one attack, combat attack, and there's no need to get any more specific than that. And it does light damage. It'll pass on 1 point of damage and 1 point of power yield. That's not important for right now. And so what happens then after this animation gets played and we sign up for this event? Inside, when that interface function gets called, if we go to the character, the enemy grunt, after it retrieves the data, it goes and performs this box strike. This is an attack specific to this character, where it'll do a box volume and trace inside of that for enemies, and then it'll call for the combat component and say, process the damage for this box. And so right now we're in the combat component that every enemy has, and the character as well, the player character as well. So here, whatever hits happen during the trace, we will process those attacks. The combat component is going to process the attack. And so what happens when the attack gets processed? We go through the hit results, and based on the attack data, we look at a couple of things, like if the attack is only supposed to damage enemies from other teams or not, in which case we would skip any character that was from my own team, but I'm imagining some, boss characters maybe will do attacks that damage even their own, their own smaller enemies. And then this function will call the resolve clash function from the clash resolver. And based on the clash resolver will just give you the outcome of this clash. And so what happens there? Like I said, the clash resolver is a subsystem. You can call it from anywhere at runtime, and based on the current defense that gets pulled out of the combat component, this is through the combat interface, you go through a set of rules and see what the outcome would be of this attack. I can go into my project settings and show you those rules. I have some combat developer settings set up here, and here you see this is the clash config file, and I have some rules here where if you have a light attack and the target has a defense defending tag, then the outcome is that the attack got defended. And so what happens then is that the combat component, having received this outcome, it'll transmit it to both the target and the owner, who would be the attacker. And so what happens then is that the character will receive this clash outcome event, and it'll call the clash outcome event on the combat component, which is what we had signed up for right here in the melee attack task. So when this event is received, we go through it and we look, okay, what happened? What was the outcome? The outcome was that the attack got defended. Okay, and then we'll play the defended animation based on whether the actor was to the right or to the left of the target, and then we'll play the montage for that, and we'll return the attack token. So that's basically it. That's this way you get, and the same thing's happening on the player side. The player also has a task where it's signed up for an event, and it gets told, hey, you defended against an attack, so play the relevant animation. So it's a neat little way to pass data around pretty simply, and you can add rules to that config file, as many rules as you want, so it can get as complex as you want it to be without really having to add any code. And so that's nice. So you might be looking at this and thinking that this doesn't look very fun, though, and that's because it's not fun. This is just testing out functionality, getting data from one place to another, seeing that things work. And so I think the objective next is to actually try and make this a little fun. So add a little gameplay to the player, and add a little, some actual attacks and a little damage, and they would be, even though it may not look pretty yet, but just see what actual combat would feel like a little bit. So I'm hoping that'll be the next update I do. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers.